There will be days when you wake up and the fire inside you feels dim. Days when the excitement that once propelled you forward now seems distant. Days when the bed feels softer than your dreams and the excuses in your head sound far more compelling than the actions you know you should take. And on those days you might wonder, is all this effort even worth it? Is it even possible to keep going when motivation fades? Here's the truth. Motivation is a temporary spark. It is powerful when it exists, but it is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes like the tide. You cannot depend on it for long-term results, and yet so many people do. They wait for the perfect feeling, the perfect moment, the perfect level of inspiration. And because that moment rarely comes, they quit. They stop showing up. They settle for a life smaller than they are capable of living. But there is something far more reliable than motivation. Something that does not fade with the weather of your emotions. Something that is constant, unshakable, and far more powerful. That something is consistency. Consistency is not a flashy concept. It is not glamorous. It does not make headlines. But it is the quiet force that separates those who achieve lasting success from those who only dream about it. Consistency is showing up day after day, even when you do not feel like it. It is doing the work when no one is watching, when no one will applaud, when it seems pointless. And that is where true transformation begins. You see, the most successful people are not those who are the most motivated. They are the people who have discovered a deeper why. They have anchored their actions to a purpose so strong that it carries them even when motivation fades. Motivation is emotion, purpose is identity. Motivation is temporary, purpose is permanent. When you know why you are doing something, consistency becomes a natural extension of who you are. Think about a runner who trains every day, rain or shine, for a marathon. Do they run because they feel like it every morning? No. They run because they are a runner. It is part of their identity. It is what defines them. When the excitement of the first few weeks disappears, when the soreness sets in, when life becomes complicated, they still run because it is who they have chosen to be. Consistency works the same way in every area of life, whether it is your career, your health, your relationships, or your personal growth. Consistency is not about how you feel in the moment. It is about the decisions you have made about the person you want to become. When you align your actions with your identity, showing up is no longer a chore. It becomes a reflection of who you are. But here's the challenge most people face. The world is not designed to make consistency easy. It is designed to distract you, to tempt you, to pull you away from your goals. Our environment often encourages shortcuts, instant gratification, and excuses. That is why systems matter more than motivation. A system is a set of structures, routines, and habits that guide your behavior automatically. The most successful people do not rely on willpower alone. They design their lives in a way that makes consistency inevitable. If you want to stay consistent, you must start by building a system that supports your goals. Set up your environment so that doing the right thing is the default choice. Remove the obstacles, reduce friction, and make it easier to succeed than to fail. Because when your environment works with you, consistency becomes almost effortless. When your environment works against you, even the strongest motivation will not be enough. And while systems are critical, consistency is also built through small actions repeated daily. You do not need to make giant leaps every day. You only need to commit to showing up in small ways every single day. The most successful people in the world did not achieve greatness in a single dramatic moment. They achieved it by taking consistent, tiny steps over time. They embraced the power of compounding effort, the snowball effect of small, repeated actions. But consistency does not mean perfection. Far from it. You will stumble. You will fail. You will miss days. You will face setbacks. That is inevitable. What defines consistency is not never falling. It is the willingness to get back up, to return to your purpose, to recommit to your mission, to continue showing up even when it hurts, even when it feels pointless, even when it seems like no one cares. Self-compassion is an often overlooked part of consistency. Many people give up because they are too hard on themselves. They see a mistake, a failure, or a missed opportunity and immediately conclude that they are not capable. But the truth is that progress is messy. Growth is not linear. Life is full of obstacles, distractions, and moments of doubt. Being consistent does not mean being perfect. It means being resilient. It means forgiving yourself, learning from your missteps, and returning to your work with renewed focus. Consistency is also about long-term vision. It is about recognizing that the work you do today compounds into the results you will see tomorrow, next month, and next year. It is about trusting the process even when the outcome is not immediately visible. It is about understanding that meaningful change does not happen overnight, but through persistent, deliberate effort over time. The person you will become in the future is a direct result of the choices you make consistently today. Now, let me challenge you to think about something. How many of your goals have failed because you relied on motivation alone? How many times have you started strong only to lose momentum when life became difficult? It is not because you lacked talent or intelligence. It is because you lacked consistency. And the good news is that consistency is a skill you can develop. It is a muscle that grows stronger with practice. The more you show up, the easier it becomes. The more you embrace small, repeated actions, the more natural it feels. Consistency is not about grand gestures. It is about small victories stacked over time. It is about choosing to act in alignment with your purpose every day. It is about letting your actions define you rather than your feelings. And it is about understanding that failure is not the opposite of consistency. It is part of the journey. Each time you stumble, you have an opportunity to recommit, to learn, and to grow stronger. The art of staying consistent. When motivation fades is not complicated, but it is not easy either. It requires clarity of purpose, commitment to identity, disciplined systems, small daily actions, and self-compassion. It requires a willingness to embrace discomfort, to face challenges head-on, and to continue moving forward even when the path is unclear. It requires the courage to show up, not because you feel like it, but because it is who you are. And here is the most important truth of all. The only person you are truly competing with is yourself. Consistency is not about comparing yourself to others, keeping up with trends, or chasing recognition. It is about becoming the best version of yourself, one day at a time. It is about asking each morning, who do I want to be today? And then showing up as that person. Imagine a life where your actions are guided not by fleeting motivation, but by steadfast purpose. Imagine a life where you show up for your goals, your dreams, and your values every single day. Imagine the momentum you could create, the progress you could make, the impact you could have. That is the power of consistency. That is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. So start today. Make the decision to show up no matter how you feel. Design your environment to support your goals. Commit to small daily actions that align with your purpose. Forgive yourself when you stumble. Return again and again to the person you are becoming. Consistency is not flashy. It is not dramatic. It does not make headlines, but it is the engine of achievement. It is the force that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It is the quiet, relentless, unshakable commitment to keep moving forward, even when the fire inside you flickers. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that it was not talent, luck, or fleeting motivation that carried you forward. It was your ability to stay consistent. It was your willingness to show up again and again when it mattered most. It was your refusal to quit when everything inside you told you to. That, my friends, is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. And when you master that, there is nothing in life you cannot achieve. There is a moment in everyone's journey where the initial excitement disappears. The spark that once ignited your ambition dims. The goals that once seemed thrilling now feel distant, almost unattainable. And in that moment, most people make a choice. They quit. They stop showing up. They let life's distractions, excuses, and challenges dictate their path. They abandon the very thing that could transform their lives. The truth is, motivation is fleeting. It is emotional. It rises and falls like the tide. It cannot be counted on for consistent results. If you wait for motivation to do the work, you will only ever experience short bursts of success. You will start with enthusiasm and abandon when the enthusiasm fades. That is the trap many fall into. They confuse motivation with commitment. They confuse excitement with purpose. And they discover often too late that they have nothing to show for their effort. Consistency is different. Consistency does not depend on emotion. Consistency does not rely on feeling inspired. Consistency is built on something much deeper, Purpose. Purpose is enduring. Purpose is the why that guides your actions even when everything else feels uncertain. It is the compass that keeps you moving forward when motivation is gone. And purpose is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Think about the people you admire most. They are not the ones who wait for inspiration. They are the ones who show up day after day, even when it is difficult. They show up when no one is watching. They show up when they are tired, frustrated, or uncertain. They show up not because it is easy, but because it aligns with who they are. They have internalized their identity so fully that action is automatic. A writer writes because they are a writer. A leader leads because they are a leader. A runner runs because they are a runner. Their actions are consistent because their identity and their purpose are intertwined. Consistency is not about perfection. It is not about achieving a goal in one attempt or doing everything flawlessly. It is about returning. It is about showing up again, A and D again, despite setbacks, failures, and obstacles. It is about resilience. Every time you stumble, you have a choice: give up or rise again. And every time you rise again, you strengthen your ability to persevere. This is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who fade away with their initial excitement. One of the biggest misconceptions about consistency is that it requires relentless willpower. Many people believe that if they just try harder, push longer, or force themselves through discomfort, they will succeed. But willpower is limited. It depletes over time. Relying solely on willpower is like trying to run a marathon on a single tank of gas. You will eventually run out. That is why systems matter more than motivation. Systems are the structures, habits, and routines that make consistency inevitable. They create an environment where showing up is easier than quitting. A system is not complicated. It is simply a set of processes that guide your behavior automatically. If you want to write every day, you create an environment where writing is easier than doing anything else. You remove distractions. You create a schedule. You make it impossible not to follow through. And over time, the compound effect of these small, consistent actions becomes unstoppable. The work you do today builds on the work you did yesterday, and it compounds into results you could not achieve through a single burst of motivation. Consistency also requires self-compassion. Many people give up not because they fail, but because they are too hard on themselves when they do. They see a mistake, a misday, or a setback, and interpret it as a reason to quit. But setbacks are not failures. They are lessons. They are opportunities to learn, adjust, and return stronger. Consistency is not about never failing. It is about refusing to let failure define you. It is about undo. Restanding that progress is messy and that growth is rarely linear. The person who achieves lasting results is the one who gets back up over and over again. When motivation fades, small actions matter more than grand gestures. You do not need to complete massive tasks or achieve dramatic milestones every day. You need to show up in ways that align with your purpose. You need to take small, deliberate steps consistently. These small actions, repeated over time, create momentum. They accumulate layer by layer until the results are undeniable. Consistency is the art of focusing on what you can control today, rather than being paralyzed by the uncertainty of the future. The challenge for most people is that life is unpredictable. You will encounter obstacles. You will face challenges you did not anticipate. You will have days when nothing seems to go right. It is in those moments that consistency matters most, because showing up when it is easy requires no skill. Showing up when it is hard is what defines character. Showing up when no one is watching is what builds integrity. And integrity is the foundation of a life built on purpose and meaning. Consistency is also a reflection of self-respect. When you make a commitment to yourself and honor it, you demonstrate that your goals, your values, and your identity matter. Every time you show up, you reinforce the belief that you are worth the effort. This is why the most successful people do not wait for motivation. They act out of respect for themselves. They act out of loyalty to their purpose. And that loyalty carries them through the moments when inspiration fades. It is important to recognize that you are competing with no one but yourself. The journey of consistency is not about comparison. It is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about becoming the best version of yourself, one day at a time. It is about asking each morning, who do I want to be today? And then showing up as that person. The choices you make consistently define the person you will become. Your actions are far more powerful than your intentions. Intentions are fleeting, actions are lasting. Consistency also requires patience. Many people give up too soon because they expect instant results. They want immediate recognition, quick victories, and visible progress. But meaningful growth takes time. Lasting change does not happen overnight. It is the accumulation of repeated actions, compounded over months and years, that produces extraordinary outcomes. If you can embrace patience and trust the process, you will begin to see results that most people never achieve. One of the most overlooked aspects of consistency is accountability. While the ultimate responsibility rests with you, surrounding yourself with the right people and structures amplifies your ability to stay consistent. Communities, mentors, and routines that reinforce your purpose provide the external support needed to sustain your internal drive. When you are accountable to yourself and others, consistency becomes not just a personal choice, but a standard of living. Consistency is not glamorous. It does not create headlines. It does not provide immediate validation, but it is the foundation of achievement, the engine that drives success, and the silent force behind transformation. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every impactful individual achieved what they did not because they felt motivated every day, but because they stayed consistent even when motivation had disappeared. You might wonder, how do you sustain consistency when life is overwhelming? The answer is to focus on what is within your control. You cannot control the world around you. You cannot control the unexpected challenges that arise, but you can control your actions. You can control your habits. You say and control the commitment you make to yourself and your purpose. When you act on what you can control, the rest becomes secondary. Consistency is about reclaiming your power in a world that constantly tries to take it away. Now imagine what your life could look like if you embrace this principle fully. Imagine showing up every day, regardless of motivation. Imagine creating systems that make success inevitable. Imagine taking small actions, repeated over time, that build unstoppable momentum. Imagine responding to setbacks with resilience, patience, and self-compassion. Imagine living a life defined not by fleeting emotion, but by deliberate, purposeful action. That is the power of consistency. That is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. So start today. Decide to show up even when you do not feel like it. Build your systems, design your environment, and create routines that support your goals. Take small steps that compound over time. Be kind to yourself when you stumble, and return stronger each time. Honor your purpose. Honor your identity. Honor the person you are becoming. Consistency is not easy. It is not supposed to be. It is the mark of someone who is willing to endure discomfort, to face challenges, and to rise above distraction. It is the mark of someone who refuses to let motivation, or the lack of it, dictate their future. It is the mark of someone who understands that lasting achievement is built, not wished for. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that it was not talent, luck, or fleeting inspiration that carried you forward. It was your decision to stay consistent. It was your willingness to show up again and again when it mattered most. It was your commitment to your purpose, your identity, and your long-term vision. That is what makes the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. This is not a mess. Age about doing everything perfectly. It is not about never failing. It is about showing up. It is about acting in alignment with your purpose repeatedly, even when it is hard. It is about creating a life of integrity, discipline, and meaning. And when you master this, when you internalize it fully, you will discover that nothing in life is beyond your reach. The art of staying consistent when motivation fades is simple to understand, yet profound in its impact. It is a commitment to yourself, to your goals, and to your purpose. It is a declaration that your dreams matter more than temporary feelings. It is the quiet, persistent force that shapes your life. And when you embrace it fully, you become unstoppable. So choose consistency today. Commit to showing up again and again. Build systems that support your growth. Take small, deliberate actions. Practice patience, resilience, and self-compassion. And never forget that the person you become tomorrow is built on the actions you take today. Consistency is not just a habit, it is a way of life. And when you live it fully, there is no limit to what you can achieve. There are moments in life when you feel unstoppable. Days when every action you take seems to push you closer to your goals. You wake up with energy, with clarity, with a sense of purpose that seems almost effortless. Those are the days when motivation feels real, when it is easy to keep moving forward, when it seems as if success is inevitable. But those days are temporary. They do not last. Life is unpredictable. Energy fades, challenges arise, the spark of excitement that once drove you forward begins to flicker. And on those days, the real test begins, not of your abilities, not of your talent, but of your consistency. Consistency is not exciting. It does not provide the adrenaline rush of initial inspiration. It does not come with applause or instant recognition. But it is the silent, relentless force behind every success story. It is the commitment to show up even when you do not feel like it. It is the decision to act even when the world tells you to wait. It is the understanding that your future is built not on fleeting emotion, but on repeated action. Motivation is fragile. It is tied to feelings, and feelings are unpredictable. One day you feel inspired, and the next day you feel drained. One day you feel capable, and the next day overwhelmed. If you rely on motivation alone, your progress will mirror this fluctuation. You will take steps forward when inspired, but step back when the spark fades. You will achieve bursts of success, but never sustain growth. Consistency is different. Consistency is rooted in identity. It is grounded in purpose. When you are clear about why you are doing something, when your actions are aligned with your deeper beliefs, then showing up becomes automatic. You do not ask yourself whether you feel like it, you act because it is part of who you are. A writer writes, a leader leads, a student studies, a creator creates. They act because their identity demands it, because their purpose requires it, because the person they are becoming depends on it. The challenge is that life will always test you. There will be obstacles. There will be failures. There will be days when every excuse seems valid, when every comfort beckons, when every distraction tempts you away from your goals. These are the moments that define consistency. Not the days when everything goes according to plan, but the days when showing up feels impossible, when fatigue, doubt, or fear knock at your door. Those are the days when your commitment is measured. To remain consistent, you must design your environment intentionally. Motivation is unreliable, but systems are dependable. Your environment can either work for or against you. If you create a life where taking the right action is the easiest choice, you will follow through. If you leave yourself vulnerable to distractions, temptations, and excuses, even the strongest resolve will falter. Systems do not require emotion, they require structure. And when your environment supports your goals, consistency becomes almost inevitable. Small actions repeated daily have enormous power. Progress is rarely the result of a single monumental effort. It is the result of many small choices, compounded over time. A single page written does not make you a writer, but writing every day for a year does. One workout does not transform your body, but showing up consistently even when you do not feel like it does. Consistency is about stacking small wins, about creating momentum, about trusting that your repeated actions will eventually produce results beyond your imagination. Failure is inevitable. You will stumble. You will miss days. You will falter. That is part of the journey. Consistency is not about never failing. It is about how quickly and how fully you return to your path. Every successful person has failed, but every successful person has also recommitted. The person who achieves lasting results is not the one who never falls. It is the one who refuses to stay down. Self-compassion is critical. Many people give up because they are too harsh with themselves. They see a misstep, a missed opportunity, or a setback as a reason to quit. But setbacks are not the opposite of consistency. They are part of it. Growth is not linear. Progress is messy. Life is unpredictable. To stay consistent, you must forgive yourself, learn from the experience, and take the next step forward. Consistency is not punishment. It is persistence with grace. Consistency also requires patience. The results of your efforts are rarely immediate. You cannot ECT overnight transformation. The small, repeated actions you take today will compound over weeks, months, and years. You will not always see the results in real time, but that does not mean they are not happening. The power of consistency lies in its cumulative effect, in the snowball of progress that grows larger with every action you take. Trust in this process, and the results will follow. Accountability amplifies consistency, while the ultimate responsibility rests with you. Surrounding yourself with the right people and structures increases your likelihood of showing up. Mentors, friends, and communities can reinforce your commitment, provide guidance when you falter, and celebrate your victories with you. When you combine personal discipline with external support, consistency becomes more attainable and more sustainable. Consistency is a reflection of your values. Every time you show up, you are making a statement that your goals matter, that your purpose matters, that your identity matters. This is why the most impactful people are consistent. They act in alignment with their deepest beliefs, not because it is convenient, but because it is non-negotiable. Their actions define them, and their identity demands it. When motivation fades, small actions matter more than grand gestures. It is the accumulation of consistent behavior that produces results. One act alone does not change anything, but repeated acts create momentum, and momentum creates transformation. Every decision to show up, every choice to act, every step forward, even the smallest one, matters. Consistency is not easy, and it is not meant to be. It requires discipline, focus, and courage. It requires the willingness to endure discomfort, to face uncertainty, and to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. It requires a commitment to your purpose that transcends emotion, circumstance, and temporary setbacks. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not those who are always motivated. They are those who are unwaveringly consistent. Your future is built on the actions you take today. Every choice, every habit, every decision to show up compounds into the life you will live. If you want a life of meaning, success, and fulfillment, consistency is not optional. It is essential. You must take ownership of your actions, design your environment, commit to small daily steps, forgive yourself when you falter, and trust in the long-term impact of your efforts. Imagine a life where your actions are guided not by fleeting motivation, but by purpose. Imagine showing up every day, even when it is difficult, even when no one is watching, even when you do not feel like it. Imagine the momentum you could create, the progress you could make, the person you could become. That is the power of consistency. That is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. Start today. Decide to show up no matter how you feel. Create systems that make your actions inevitable. Commit to small, deliberate steps that accumulate into progress. Be patient with yourself. Forgive your missteps. Honor your purpose. Honor your identity. Honor the person you are becoming. Consistency is the engine of achievement. It is the foundation of growth. It is the silent force behind every success story. When motivation fades, consistency carries you forward. When challenges arise, consistency sustains you. When setbacks occur, consistency strengthens you. And when you master the art of consistency, there is nothing in life you cannot achieve. It is not talent, luck, or fleeting inspiration that will define your life. It is the willingness to show up again and again when it matters most. It is the commitment to your purpose, your identity, and your long-term vision. That is what creates extraordinary outcomes. That is what turns dreams into reality. That is what transforms potential into achievement. Consistency is simple to understand, but profound in its effect. It is a choice, a daily, deliberate choice to act in alignment with your values and purpose. It is the decision to return again and again when motivation fades. It is the recognition that the small, repeated actions of today determine the person you become tomorrow. It is the quiet, persistent force that shapes your life, even when no one else notices. So make the choice today. Show up, act, commit, build systems, take small steps, practice patience and self-compassion, trust the process, honor your purpose, and above all, remain consistent. When you do, you will discover that there is no limit to what you can achieve. The art of staying consistent when motivation fades is not just a strategy. It is a way of life, and it is the key to unlocking your full potential. There is a moment in everyone's journey when the excitement that started the path begins to fade. That surge of motivation, that initial thrill begins to wane. The goals that once seemed so clear now feel distant, and the steps that once felt natural now feel heavy. And in that moment, most people stop. They let the feeling of discouragement dictate their actions. They quit, they settle, they accept a life smaller than the one they imagined. Motivation is a fickle force. It is dependent on emotion, circumstance, and energy. Some days it is present, and some days it is absent. If your progress depends solely on motivation, your success will be as inconsistent as the feelings that drive it. That is why relying on motivation alone is a trap. It is exciting at first, but fleeting. It will push you forward for a time, and then it will abandon you when you need it most. Consistency is different. Consistency is the steady heartbeat that carries you through the days when motivation is gone. Consistency is not about feeling inspired. It is about knowing your purpose. It is about connecting your actions to a deeper reason that drives you beyond temporary emotion. When your why is clear, consistency becomes inevitable because it is no longer an option. It is part of who you are. Think about the people you admire. They do not rely on emotion to fuel their success. They do not wait for the perfect conditions. They show up day after day because that is who they are. They have internalized their identity so deeply that action is automatic. A writer writes, a musician practices, a leader acts. They do not ask, do I feel like it? They act because that is what their identity demands, because that is what their purpose requires, because that is who they have chosen to become. Life is full of obstacles, distractions, and setbacks. There will be days when showing up is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or downright painful. That is when consistency matters most. The easy days do not define you. The difficult days do. The moments when motivation is gone and yet you still take action are the moments that shape your future. Showing up during discomfort is not optional. It is essential. To sustain consistency, you must design your environment intentionally. Motivation comes and goes, but your surroundings can support or sabotage your progress. Build systems that make the right action the easiest choice. Remove distractions. Create routines that automate positive behavior. When your environment works with you, consistency becomes effortless. When your environment works against you, even the strongest willpower will eventually fail. Systems are the backbone of sustained effort. Small daily actions are more powerful than occasional bursts of greatness. You do not achieve mastery in a single leap. You achieve it through repeated, deliberate practice. Writing one page does not make you a writer, but writing every day for a year does. One workout does not transform your body, but showing up consistently day after day compounds into strength, resilience, and results. Consistency is the accumulation of small wins repeated over time. Failure is inevitable. You will stumble. You will falter. You will miss days. That does not mean you are inconsistent. It means you are human. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about returning. Every time you recover from a setback, every time you recommit to your purpose, you strengthen your consistency muscle. The person who achieves lasting success is not the one who never fails, but the one who never stays down. Self-compassion is critical. Many people give up because they are too hard on themselves when they falter. They see a missed day, a setback, or a mistake as a reason to quit. But setbacks are part of the journey. They are opportunities to learn, grow, and strengthen your resolve. Being consistent is not punishment. It is persistence with understanding and grace. Forgive yourself, learn from the experience, and return with renewed focus. Consistency requires patience. The results of your actions are rarely immediate. Growth takes time. Transformation is the product of repeated effort over months and years, not days or weeks. When you embrace patience, you trust the process. You understand that small, consistent actions compound into results far greater than you can see in the moment. This is the power of persistence, the art of trusting that your dedication will pay off. Accountability enhances consistency. While your internal drive is crucial, surrounding yourself with supportive people strengthens your ability to stay on track. Mentors, friends, and communities reinforce your purpose, provide guidance, and celebrate milestones with you. Accountability ensures that you remain committed even when motivation fades, making consistency not just a personal effort, but a shared standard of commitment. Consistency reflects your values. Every time you show up, you affirm that your purpose matters, your goals matter, and your identity matters. The people who achieve remarkable success act in alignment with their deepest values, even when it is inconvenient. Their actions define them. Their identity demands them to persist. This is why true consistency is not negotiable. It is part of the person they have chosen to become. Small actions, repeated daily, are more transformative than occasional grand gestures. Consistency is not about dramatic victories. It is about steady, deliberate, purposeful action. Each small step builds momentum. Each repeated action strengthens character. Over time, these small, consistent actions create compounding results. They transform potential into achievement, dreams into reality. Consistency is not easy, and it is not supposed to be. It requires discipline, courage, and focus. It requires enduring discomfort, embracing uncertainty, and continuing forward when every signal tells you to stop. Those who achieve extraordinary results do not rely on constant motivation. They rely on unwavering consistency. They understand that lasting success is built, not wished for. Your future is built on the choices you make today. Every habit, every decision, every action contributes to the life you will live. Consistency is essential. It is the bridge between aspiration and accomplishment. It is the silent force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. If you want a life of meaning, fulfillment, and achievement, you must prioritize consistency above all else. Imagine a life guided not by fleeting emotion, but by unwavering purpose. Imagine showing up very day, even when no one is watching, even when it is inconvenient, even when motivation is gone. Imagine the momentum you could generate, the growth you could experience, the person you could become. That is the power of consistency. That is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. Start today. Make the decision to show up, no matter how you feel. Build systems that support your actions. Commit to small, deliberate steps. Be patient and compassionate with yourself when setbacks occur. Honor your purpose, your identity, and your potential. Consistency is the foundation of achievement. It is the engine of transformation. When motivation fades, consistency carries you forward. When challenges arise, consistency sustains you. When setbacks occur, consistency strengthens you. Mastering consistency unlocks your potential, turning dreams into reality. It is not talent, luck, or inspiration that will define your life. It is your willingness to show up again and again, to act in alignment with your purpose, to persist when it is difficult. That is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. That is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Consistency is simple in principle, but profound in effect. It is a deliberate, daily choice to act in alignment with your values. It is a commitment to return when motivation fades. It is the recognition that small, repeated actions today shape the person you will become tomorrow. It is the quiet, persistent force that creates extraordinary lives, even when no one notices. So choose consistency today. Show up, act, commit, build systems, take small, meaningful steps. Trust the process. Be patient, be resilient, be compassionate, and above all, remain consistent. When you live this way, there are no limits to what you can achieve. The art of staying consistent when motivation fades is not just a strategy. It is a way of life, and it is the key to unlocking your true potential. There are moments in life when everything feels possible. Days when your energy is high, your mind is clear, and your sense of purpose propels you forward. On those days, progress feels easy, and success feels almost inevitable. But those days are not permanent. They come and go, often without warning, and they never last forever. The real challenge is not the days when motivation is abundant. The real challenge is the days when it fades, when the spark that once drove you forward seems to vanish, and every step feels heavy. Motivation is temporary. It is tied to emotion, circumstance, and energy, all of which fluctuate. If you depend on motivation to succeed, your progress will be inconsistent, fragile, and unreliable. Motivation can push you forward for a time, but it cannot sustain you through the inevitable setbacks, distractions, and fatigue that life brings. Those who rely solely on motivation often start strong and fade quickly, leaving their potential unrealized. Consistency is different. Consistency does not depend on feeling inspired. It does not require perfect circumstances. It is rooted in purpose, in identity, and in the decisions we make about the kind of people we want to be. When your actions are connected to your deeper why, consistency becomes natural. You do not ask, "Do I feel like it today?" You act because that is who you are. A writer writes. A leader leads. A creator creates. They show up because their identity demands it, because their purpose requires it, because their future depends on it. Life is full of obstacles. It is full of distractions, setbacks, and challenges. On some days, showing up will feel impossible. On some days, every excuse will seem reasonable. On those days, consistency is what separates those who achieve lasting results from those who settle for mediocrity. Showing up when it is hard is not optional. It is essential. It is in these moments that character is defined, that resilience is forged, and that true growth occurs. To be consistent, you must design your environment intentionally. Motivation may fluctuate, but your environment can support or sabotage your efforts. Build systems that make taking the right action the easiest choice. Remove distractions. Establish routines that automate success. When your environment works with you, consistency becomes effortless. When it works against you, even the strongest willpower will fail. Systems are the scaffolding upon which long-term achievement is built. Small, repeated actions are more powerful than occasional bursts of effort. Progress is rarely the result of a single monumental action. It is the result of repeated, deliberate choices made over time. Writing one page does not make you a writer, but writing every day for a year does. One workout does not transform your body, but showing up consistently does. The compound effect of small, repeated actions is enormous. It creates momentum, builds skill, and produces results far beyond what motivation alone can achieve. Failure is inevitable. You will stumble. You will miss days. You will make mistakes. That does not mean you are inconsistent. It means you are human. Consistency is not perfection. It is the willingness to return. Every time you recommit after a setback, you strengthen your ability to persist. The person who achieves lasting success is not the one who never fails, but the one who never stays down. Self-compassion is essential. Many people give up because they are too hard on themselves when they falter. They interpret mistakes as failure and failure as a reason to quit. But setbacks are part of the journey. They are opportunities to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. Consistency is not punishment. It is persistence with grace. Forgive yourself, learn, and take the next step forward. Consistency also requires patience. The results of your effort are rarely immediate. Growth takes time. Transformation is the product of repeated, deliberate actions over months and years, not days or weeks. When you embrace patience, you trust the process. You understand that your small, consistent actions today will produce extraordinary results tomorrow. This is the power of compounding effort, the art of trusting that the work you do now builds your future. Accountability amplifies consistency. While internal motivation is critical, surrounding yourself with the right people strengthens your commitment. Mentors, peers, and communities provide guidance, encouragement, and reinforcement when motivation wanes. Accountability ensures that your commitment is maintained, even in moments of doubt, making consistency not just an individual effort, but a shared standard of excellence. Consistency reflects values. Every time you show up, you send a message to yourself and to the world that your goals matter, that your purpose matters, that your identity matters. Those who achieve remarkable success do so not because it is convenient, but because it is non-negotiable. Their actions align with their deepest beliefs, and their identity demands persistence. True consistency is a reflection of integrity, discipline, and purpose. Small actions repeated daily outweigh sporadic grand gestures. Consistency is not about dramatic one-time victories. It is about steady, deliberate, purposeful effort. Each small step builds momentum. Each repeated action reinforces character. Over time, these small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary outcomes. They transform dreams into reality and potential into achievement. Consistency is not easy. It requires discipline, courage, and focus. It demands that you endure discomfort, embrace uncertainty, and continue moving forward even when every signal says to stop. Those who achieve remarkable results do not rely on constant inspiration. They rely on steadfast consistency. They understand that success is built, not wished for. Your future is shaped by the choices you make today. Every habit, every decision, every action contributes to the life you will live. Consistency is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. It is the silent force that turns ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. If you desire a life of fulfillment, meaning, and success, consistency is essential. Imagine a life guided not by fleeting motivation, but by unwavering purpose. Imagine showing up every day, even when it is inconvenient, even when no one is watching, even when you do not feel like it. Imagine the momentum you could create, the growth you could achieve, the person you could become. That is the power of consistency. That is the art of staying consistent when motivation fades. Start today. Decide to show up no matter how you feel. Build systems that support your actions. Commit to small, deliberate steps that compound over time. Be patient and compassionate with yourself when setbacks occur. Honor your purpose. Honor your identity. Honor the person you are becoming. Consistency is the engine of achievement. It is the foundation of transformation. When motivation fades, consistency carries you forward. When challenges arise, consistency sustains you. When setbacks occur, consistency strengthens you. Master consistency and you unlock your potential, transforming dreams into reality. It is not talent, luck, or fleeting inspiration that will define your life. It is your willingness to show up again and again, to act in alignment with your purpose, to persist when it is difficult. That is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. That is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Consistency is simple to understand, but profound in effect. It is a deliberate, daily choice to act in alignment with your values. It is a commitment to return when motivation fades. It is the recognition that small, repeated actions today shape the person you will become tomorrow. It is the quiet, persistent force that creates extraordinary lives, even when no one notices. So make the choice today. Show up, act, commit, build systems, take small, meaningful steps, trust the process, be patient, be resilient, be compassionate, and above all, remain consistent. When you live this way, there are no limits to what you can achieve. The art of staying consistent when motivation fades is not just a strategy, it is a way of life, and it is the key to unlocking your true potential.